Happy Monday!
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
Happy first Monday of September, getting into fall, even though it does not feel like fall weather quite yet. Welcome to the Melanated Way. I'm Linda. That is Abby. Hi, Abby.
Hello.
I hope you guys have had a great week so far, and we are covering all things Match Me Abroad Season 2. We are on episode 12, Up in Smoke. And listen, I was screaming at my TV today when I was watching the episode. Screaming. Abby screaming. Not only because this episode was so good, but also for the previews next week. I'm appalled. I'm appalled. Monica, yes. Problematic. Tony, problematic. Amber, who I love. Amber, breakout star in my opinion. Amber, girl. Amber.
I cannot wait till we get to talking about Amber. I have questions for you.
Listen. Now, the other thing that I think needs to happen is I think that Katerina and Louisa need a special spinoff, and all they do is just match people abroad and in their same country, because these two ladies, if you listen to them, if you make good choices.
Mm-hmm. Katerina has showed us how she can work across countries and cultures. So definitely her. Louisa, I'm not sure. Because I feel like Louisa, off of meeting Tony, should have been like, I'm not putting any of my ladies with him.
But she ended up being that way, right? She ended up
being that way. She did end up being that way. But like, we saw it from the beginning.
Yeah, facts. And some of the things that she said in this episode were things that we said like episode 3 and 4. So, absolutely. Hi, avoiding eye contact. That's a great little name, by the way. All right, let's jump into it. Amber, 38. You know, she's had this romantic weekend with Kevon, but she's been thinking about Glenn and Amber girl Amber. Like, I don't want to jump ahead, but Amber girl Amber, what are you doing? So your boy who's all in love with you, allegedly, who has been texting you and you've been texting him, even on this romantic weekend, you get ready to have your second date with him and he greets you with a handshake. Like, that told me everything I needed to know, right? Because a lot of the times, you guys, men specifically, it's a competition. If they know there's someone else out there, they may not totally be into you, but they're into the hunt and they want to.
Oh, okay. Is that what you're thinking?
They want to win the prize. Because this fool, if he's texting you and you're in contact every single day, he's excited to see you. You guys are going to do this dance situation. He's not going to greet you by shaking your hand after you guys already had your first kiss. That makes sense. Hey, Jocelyn. Hey, girl.
I would not be into the shaking hand either, but I'm also Southern. So I think I'm just a little bit more touchy-feely anyway. Is it possible that he was letting her decide if she wanted more contact?
Not Mr. Ireland.
Not Mr. Ireland.
Okay. Who literally said that he was the prize.
He did.
Quote, I'm the starlet. No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I have a question to go backwards a little bit, though.
Okay.
Was there anything that happened over the weekend that justifies us calling it a romantic weekend getaway?
I mean, I'm only calling that romantic weekend because she called it a romantic weekend. I saw them do nothing except do archery, eat room service, have some drinks, say they didn't get jiggy, and called it a day. Now, That's not my personal... I wouldn't call that a romantic weekend. I would call it a staycation. That's it. If I was having a romantic weekend, there better be excursions involved. There better be like restaurants and walking around and holding hands and
candles,
late night conversations and flowers,
massages,
and all the things. But, you know, maybe they happened. I don't know. Maybe they happened off screen, but that's what she called it, so that's what we're calling it.
We're on the same page about this not being really a romantic weekend. Okay, let's
go. Texting every day, her and Glenn, and they are taking a traditional Kaylee Irish dance class just in time for the Celtic festivals, which I thought was great because one of the things I do love about Match Me Abroad is the culture of it all. And I love that they are embracing it more. I feel this season, even if we don't see it, they're talking about it so that I can go look up, oh, what is Kaylee dancing? You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn says that he's super excited to see her again after their first date because he loves her positive sparkle and energy, and it's rubbed off on him. And he, quote, is 100% sure that the relationship will go further and they'll end up together. He just doesn't know it yet, end quote. I'm like, mm, this is exactly what Katerina is talking about. This is it. It's the chase for him, and she knew it, but she also knew that this is the type of guy that Amber goes for. Is Amber going to break out of her comfort zone and move a little bit slower and get to know someone who might be great for her, or is she going to go with what she knows? And one of the things that it's so like stabbing me is that we as human beings, and I'll speak only for myself, we definitely do go with what we're comfortable with and what we think we like. Like, it's hard for us to change. It really is hard to change, Abby. And Kevon is not like anyone she's ever dated, but she knows Glenn and she knows how to deal with Glenn. And Glenn is giving her all the things that she's used to getting, right? Like an extrovert, telling her all the right things, gassing her up, love bombing her, all the things. And she is eating it up. And Amber, this is what I wish, Abby. I wish that every single person this season would just listen to what their matchmaker is saying. Make no decision for yourself. Just let your matchmaker make decisions. That's what I wish.
That would be an interesting show. But my question would be, how do you choose someone like Kevon if he's not actively pursuing you in a way that feels, that makes you feel something? I don't know if I'm saying that correctly.
As Abby is an introvert, I would think that you would see that he is giving it his best. Like
I don't. And let me tell you why. Because I, as an introvert, I know exactly how I would communicate to Amber in this situation. And he's not doing it.
Okay. I feel that he is giving her his best shots. Now, in the beginning, I was like, hey, this fool is like, oh, I'm not going to call you. I'm going to let you do your own thing. But you really, as an introvert, cannot do that to an extrovert, because an extrovert will find things to do and do their own thing. But then he makes this plan, this weekend archery, and says to her in kind of like a passive way, if I win, I would hope that you would just only date me, which is an introvert's way of saying, hey, you know what? I just really want to be exclusive with you, but I don't have the words to say it, but I'm saying it. That's what he's saying. Him planning this little getaway, again, him saying, I want to spend time with you. Him hearing about her dating and not saying anything and getting in his feelings. That's him saying it. So I think that, could he do better? Absolutely. And Katerina literally tells him these things, but he's a man, and we'll get to it, but he's a man, and that whole doesn't want to feel like he's going to be rejected is a thing. So back to Glenn.
Okay. I'll give him a little bit more leeway. Also, like getting rejected on TV, you have to factor that in.
That's there forever and ever, 100%.
Okay.
100%. So Glenn and Amber are having Irish coffee. Thought it was interesting that she had never heard of it and not had it before. Have you ever had Irish coffee?
Yeah, I was wondering why she was confused about the fact that it has real whiskey in it. Like, does Irish coffee not always have whiskey?
No, it does. So it's Jameson, Irish cream, and coffee espresso.
Yeah, I was, when she asked, oh, does it have whiskey in it, or whatever, however she phrased it, I was thinking, oh, is there one that doesn't? Is there an Irish coffee that doesn't?
I'm glad you said that, because I was again giving you Americans this right situation whilst I was watching the show. So they have a little repertoire there. She has a milk mustache, and they have a kiss. And she tells him about what she's been up to since she last saw him, that she went to Kilkenny for an overnight stay. She had a really good time. But while she was there on this romantic weekend with Kevon, you guys, she was thinking of Glenn and texting Glenn. What are your thoughts on that? And how would you feel about that if you found out after the fact?
If I was Glenn and I found out that's where she was while she was texting me?
No, if you were Kevon, bump Glenn. Who cares about Glenn? Glenn is getting all the attention that he needs.
Okay, so if I was Kevon.
Yeah, how would you feel if you found out after the fact that you, Abby, took someone you were interested in on a romantic weekend and they were texting somebody else the whole time that you guys were together?
You know, if it was explicit that we are not exclusive, then I do not get to have any feelings about whom else they are speaking to. But if we're exclusive, we're exclusively dating, we've had a conversation, we've decided that, then of course I feel some kind of way about it. But if you don't have the conversation, you don't get to have any expectations for anybody else's behavior.
That is very mature of you. And I, you know, in reality and in common sense, that 100% makes sense. Hell no. I planned a weekend, y'all. If I planned a weekend and we are having a romantic weekend, you better be all in. And not only that, if I planned it, you better have some friggin' input. And your phone better not be lighting up anyone else, because this will be your first and last and only romantic weekend if I found out. I don't care if we're exclusive or not exclusive. The fact that I took time to make something like beautiful like this happen and you're all gallivanting, doing whatever you want, then go and gallivant. Don't take a romantic weekend as if we are going to move forward with something. Like, I'm not 12.
Well, first of all, if you planned a romantic weekend, there would have been enough activities involved that I wouldn't think about texting somebody else. I wouldn't really have time for that. But all she had here was time because she had dinner and she went to do archery. So why not text Glenn a couple of times?
I mean, you're right. You're right. 100%. Listen, I would have kept you way too busy for you to even remember where your phone is. That is true. When you circle back, people, you guys already know that. And don't DM me because I'm not in the mood. That being said, Glenn goes on to say, well, you know, that's great that you had this great romantic weekend, but I'm the starlet and I know I'm going to win. When he said he was the starlet, I was like, if that is not a red flag to you, Amber, I don't know what is. Because he's not saying you're the starlet. He's not saying you're the prize. He's saying he's the starlet. And that's the problem in dating in 2025. These fools think they're the prize. And Mr. Ireland thinks he's the prize.
I will agree. I will agree with that. That totally reminded me of Simone Biles' husband saying he was the prize. I was like, oh, we got one of those on our hands.
That part. No. Don't even get me started. No. Girls, no. They are not the prize. They are not the prize, and you are worthy of so much more. You are the prize. Okay? If we want to go back to the basic hunting, gathering, male, female, traditional, old school rules and what makes sense, that doesn't make sense. Mr. Ireland is not the prize. You're not winning him. He's winning you. Keep that in mind. Okay. Right. So Amber starts talking about having a third date, and Glenn's, well, like, have you broken up with Kevon yet? And she's like, no, you know, I know I have to have that conversation or a conversation. And then he's like, with who? Kevon or with yourself? She's like, both. And yeah, you got to make some decisions here. And make good choices, Amber. Make good choices. But she feels like she doesn't know what to do. So in the meantime, Katerina, who I love, calls Kevon and and they have a conversation about the romantic weekend. Kevon thinks that Amber is lovely, cares a lot about her. And Katerina's like, well, have you told her that? And he's like, well, not in those words exactly. But Katerina's like, well, maybe she needs to hear that. And Kevon's like, well, you know, he was hurt because she's still seeing other guys. And Katerina knows that the reason why he's not communicating as an introvert, and B, as a man, which I'm not saying is right, but I'm just saying that this is the logic behind it, is that he is scared that he's actually going to get rejected. Which, I mean, I get it, but then, like, oh.
She's given him all the signs that she's interested, and she's let him know. I think so. She's let him know, I want to hear more from you. I didn't like when I went days without hearing from you. I wanted to.
Those words, though.
Say it again.
She didn't say those words, though. She said, where have you been in the last 3 days?
Okay. I put words in her mouth. You're right.
She didn't say that. Listen, as we move forward in this, everything that Katerina said about pride and not opening up and being vulnerable, they're both the same person. She's just an extrovert doing it, and he's an introvert doing it, but they're both not communicating what they actually are really feeling, because they both do not want to be rejected. They both do not want to put themselves out there. So perhaps they're going to miss a great thing because they're both not communicating. Period. She is communicating in the va-va-va-voom. She brings in the sparkle. She brings in, the positive energy. She brings in all of that stuff, but she still has that veil over her to protect her, and she is not communicating her needs. And she even said it. She's like, well, I don't want to always be the one that's saying this and this and this and putting it out there. Like, I'm not going to do it if he's not going to do it. Well,
right. Well, she did. I do remember when she was trying to ask him, like, what do you see happening in your life in the next 5-10 years, hoping for some kind of in. So I can understand her being like, I don't want to be the one to constantly initiate these kind of conversations, the more serious conversations. But I also see what you're saying. And yes, Joslo, he is very cute.
Abby, that's absolutely not the same thing. Talking about the future.
I know. But I'm just saying, like, being the one to bring up those bigger topics. I can see that being like a scary thing. Not for me, though. Not for me, though. I go overboard.
It's just not the same thing. It's like when we get into Sarah and Sarah talking about when she wants babies and her timeline, that is not the same thing than saying to someone, hey, you know what? I really enjoy spending time with you.
Right.
I don't want to date anyone else. I want to explore where this is going to go. And I'm hoping that you feel the same way. Do you see how that makes you vulnerable versus like, hey, what's your 5-year plan? Do you have a plan for kids? Do you have a plan for work? Do you have a plan? That is very general. That's something that you can ask anybody.
True.
Not the same thing.
So, yes.
Yeah. So Amber shows up to Katerina's office and is kind of updating Katerina on Glenn and Kevon. She's drawn to both of the guys. She thinks Glenn is funny and personable. She met his parents. He's outgoing. He's an extrovert, all the things. And Katerina's like, well, do you think that he's generally interested in you? Which I thought was the perfect question. And she's like, yeah, I think so. And then Katerina didn't respond to that. Instead, she brought it back to Kevon and said, well, how's Kevon? And Amber's like, oh, it's been an emotional roller coaster. I just don't know with him. I don't know if he's my person, my soulmate. And Katerina, again, love her, didn't respond to that at all. She said, well, Kevon's a romantic soul. He's a romantic soul. And Amber's like, well, the problem is that he doesn't open up. He gives her, quote, insecure vibes. And I'm only thinking that she's saying that because she's coming off of her date with Glenn, where
Mm-hmm.
Glenn is Mr. Ireland. So there are going to be no insecure vibes because, quote, he's the starlet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you're comparing two completely different people, but now you went on the second date and now you think that Kevon is insecure. Okay. So Amber goes on to say that she doesn't know if Kevon is her love. And that's when Katerina's like, Kevon didn't open up because he's afraid of rejection. And she's not saying that to Amber. She's saying that to the audience. And she's like, I have a feeling that Amber's going to choose Mr. Ireland over Kevon, but she wants Amber to choose Kevon because Glenn is the type of guy that Amber used to date in the past. Grand gestures, great intro, but that's it. And like I just said earlier on, he wants to win. He wants to be like, hey, you chose me. I'm the starlet. I'm the prize. Choose me.
Mm-hmm.
But Katerina's like, no, that's not really what we want. We want Amber needs a solid, stable character to support her emotionally. And she says this, and Amber starts crying. And Katerina's like, I get it, but creating trust and opening up takes time. It just doesn't happen right away. And I will say from my last major dating experience, create the trust. And you guys, I get Google people and see all the things, but the internet is not going to tell you half the shit. And I have to tell you, I can't stand it. I can't stand when someone Googles me and says, oh, this and this and this and this and this and this about you, but they don't know anything about you and you didn't tell them. And then when they're like, they know too much information too soon, date Google then. What do I need to show up for? I hate it. I hate it. All right. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Amber starts crying, and Katerina again doesn't go down that rabbit hole with her. Instead, she says, one of the things that is Amber's shortcoming is that if things don't go her way, she simply switches men. And I thought, wow, let me look back on these episodes, Abby. And that's exactly what she does. She bounces from Glenn to Kevon, depending on who's treating her better in each moment. Did you notice that?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she couldn't bounce to Kevon exactly when she wanted to because he'd kind of cut communication. But yeah. And the poop tea guy, she was like, she just noped right out of there.
Yeah, we don't count him. That was not a date. Like, I don't know why we keep bringing him up because that was just like, there's nothing to do today, so let's just go over here. Katerina goes on to tell Amber that she needs to communicate what she needs and that both of them are too proud. And you need to tell him what you need and you need to be vulnerable. You're saying that he doesn't communicate with you, but you're not communicating with him either. And Amber wasn't willing to hear that. And I thought that was disappointing because I just feel like she is going to make the wrong choice in this situation because she's going to go with what she's familiar with. And the razzle dazzle is going to continue to razzle dazzle her. Hey, EJ, you are coming up, EJ. So you better keep in the live chat. Guys, we have EJ in the live chat. Say hi to him. What are your thoughts before we move on? Anything else you want to add about Amber?
I had different feelings about this whole situation with Amber and Kevon before you started talking. So I will say, I think that you're right. You've changed my mind about how I was perceiving some of this because for me, I didn't think that Glenn was a better choice, but I just thought I wouldn't want to be in a relationship with somebody that I have to egg them on and teach them what to do either. So that was like going against Glenn for me. But now I feel better after what you said. I think that you're right.
Oh my God, this is a new day. 2025 is definitely going to be my year because out of all the times that Abby and I have done shows, this has never happened. Moving on to Tony and Louisa. Bye, Tony. I mean, we could have said bye to you episode 2. I don't want to say I called it, but I kind of did call it. So, Louisa, first of all, shout out to Louisa for waiting an hour for your client, because I just absolutely would not. She's waiting for Tony in this cafe, and she's calling and calling, and he's not answering. And she literally waited an hour for him because she wanted to fire him because, one, resistant to change. Tony's not going to change who he is. Homie's 38 years old. He's already. Remember earlier I used to say to you guys, he's closer to 40 than he is to 30. 40, he's going to be set in his ways, and he's not going to travel to Brazil, which we already know what kind of. I'm not saying Brazil is beautiful, you guys, but there are certain men that go there because of the stereotype that Brazil has, right?
Right.
With the tourism. Resistance to change, unwilling to learn. She didn't put this part in, but I'm going to put it as he hates women, you guys. He hates women.
He hates women. He abhors women. Like, no joke.
Disrespectful. Okay. And she literally said what I said in episode 2, which is you can't help anyone that doesn't want to be helped. And you can't, if he can't see that he needs help, you guys, then how do you help him? You saw how he treated not only his dates, but his matchmaker. He was combative. He was resistant. And quite frankly, Abby and I felt dangerous. How are you putting this unhealed incel type behavior on unsuspected women who are just trying to date and meet new people? Then you bring Time Bomb in. No. So I'm glad that, bye, Tony. See ya. So
I think this hurts Louisa's credibility as a matchmaker, because these women are also clients. So you need to be worried about how the situations you're putting your clients into, and putting them with someone who said that women need to have long hair because that's the only way you know if they care about and take care of themselves. They need to have pear-shaped bodies because those are the ones that have the best children, that they can't have dogs because they don't know the difference between dogs and babies. This is a dangerous person to be putting somebody with.
Okay, and I tend to agree with you, Abby, but however, I do think her saying, listen, he's resistant to change, what she was trying to do is see if he could change his ways, see if he could open up how he actually is stereotyping and objectifying women. I think she was like, hey, I already know he's problematic. That's why she originally didn't put him on a first date. She put him on that little dating cycle to see how he would act. And, you know, he was terrible. She gave him another chance. He was terrible again. And so I think she was trying to see, can I change his ways? Is he going to be open to learning? Because maybe he just doesn't know any better. But what we found is that no, he's not open to change. He's not willing to learn. He's 100% incel behavior. And I think that not only Louisa wanted to quote unquote fire him, but I think production was like, we need to cut ties immediately. Because if something happens, production does not want to be responsible. Because Abby, think about it. Think of all the 90-day shows we cover, right? We've had terrible people. You know who those terrible men and women, terrible, and they haven't cut ties. Why? Because maybe they make good TV. But we've had people that literally have been physically and verbally abusive that are still in the franchise, in that whole TLC Sharp Entertainment franchise. But we've also had one that is in prison for DV. We now have this one that I don't know who he is. I don't know what his background is, but what they don't want is a repeat of that. So I haven't seen them in all the years cut someone off mid-season. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, he was a nightmare. He was a nightmare.
So he doesn't show up. Louisa's like, he's not ready for a healthy relationship, so let him go his way. And one of the things, again, that we've talked about here is that he's blind to how his own trauma is halting him from finding love. And instead of using it and getting therapy, because Tony, if you hear this, you really do need some therapy. You need to deal with whatever trauma you're holding on to that you're projecting on women. And instead of getting that therapy, he is using it against women to reject women before they reject him. And I just, good luck to you.
Do I wish him good luck, or do I just want him to be single for the rest of his life? I don't know. Like, have I seen? I'll look and see. Is there a successful story of a man who's gone from being as hateful as he is to actually benefiting a woman? Like, do I really wish a relationship on some woman with him? Not right now.
No. I mean, he definitely needs to work on himself, period. Full stop. Go back to Florida and figure it out.
Right.
Moving on to Sarah and EJ. And I think her driver's name, I think I'm saying it right, Kahoe.
Okay, I tried to write it when she said it, and I was like, I'm not getting what the name is. But I appreciated them showing us that she's also very nice to her driver.
She's very nice to her driver, and her driver is very kind to her, tells her driver that she really likes EJ and that they talk all day, every day. And in the midst of all of that, they've gone on some other dates. They've gone dancing. They've gone to a comedy club. Sarah's a little bit concerned that he hasn't tried to kiss her yet, but they are having a lot of fun together. And so my question to you, Abby, is when is it appropriate to have your first kiss? When in your dating cycle?
I'm not against first date kisses. They're fine if it's appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also okay to wait. I think I've waited as long as like to a 6th or 7th date to have a kiss, and then also had some first date kisses. Just whenever the mood strikes.
All right. So when the mood strikes,
yeah.
I think that there's no right answer. I think that each date is an individual situation, and only you can know. Only you can know. Becca's like, can she also not ask or initiate? That's fair. And Joslo says, with our prior conversation with Tony, I don't think he has the capacity to change.
That's what I'm thinking, Joslo.
So EJ hasn't kissed Sarah yet, but here's the thing. She also wants to have a serious conversation with him about the future. Now, okay, let's say they've gone 2 dates on camera and they've gone 2 dates off camera. So let's just say that this is like their 5th date. It could be more, it could be less, but that's what I'm averaging out at. Okay. If you got on 5 dates with someone, you guys, and I already know how I'm going to let Abby answer because you guys already know what I'm about to say. So you've gone on 5 dates with somebody and you're into them, they're into you. Abby, are you having the serious conversation about the future?
I am not having a serious conversation about the future on the 5th date unless it naturally comes up. I'm not making a point to have a serious conversation at that time. I would drop in, interspersed in the conversation, some rando things like, oh, what do you do on Sunday mornings? Like, how important is that to you? I would get some information. I would gather some information, but I wouldn't be like, let's sit down and have a serious conversation right now about everything I need to know. No.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys know that I say you have that serious conversation when you're going to be in an exclusive relationship with someone. And I can't say that 5 dates in is the appropriate time to have a serious conversation because it would freak me out. If you're telling me, I'm saying to you, hey, Bob, I am focusing on my career right now. I have this timeline. I want to make sure that my business and my career are up and running. That's going to take me another 2 years, but I'm open to having children and all of this stuff. What you're not about to do is turn around and say, well, that's not going to work for me. I'm going to need you to cut that in half. And we're going to need to have some babies because my biological clock is ticking and we're going to need to do this in a year. All right, what? You know how scary that sounds after 5 dates? Listen, you guys already know I don't even like how you friggin' are Googling me after 1 date. Stop it. You're scaring people off. It's not okay.
Can I just pull back into a completely different direction for a second?
Absolutely.
Why does she want to have kids so bad?
I
Like,
mean,
every time she talks about like having kids, because she's talked about it a few times now, there's nothing of substance that I feel about like, what do you think that you have to offer the world that is so important that your DNA must replicate?
I don't I
Like,
think
what is it? Why do you need to have children? Why aren't there other things like I want to have a partner that I'm traveling with and growing with and building my business and building his business? Like, what is this intense urge to procreate?
is that rhetorical or are you asking?
I don't understand it.
Well,
From you don't have any insight into why Sarah's saying it, but I hear other people saying it as well. Like, oh my God, I have to have kids because I'm getting older and I want all the time to be like, why? What do you think happens when you have a kid that you must do that or else life is not worth living?
I know, but I do think that if you come from like a very traditional upbringing and you believe in princesses and fairy tales and your whole life you dreamt about your wedding and having a family and being a stay-at-home mom and all of those things, then yeah, kids are part of that. And I think that for Sarah, she told us who she was in the very beginning. She grew up very close to her dad and her mom. She saw that relationship and she wanted to emulate that relationship where her dad took care of the family and her and her mom being very close, and she wants to replicate that. And so what does that look like? She wants to get married and have kids so that she can be her child's best friend and all of those things as well. So I see where she's going with that. I see why she's gotten to where this is the end all be all, because for her, she's not going to be fully a woman if she doesn't get married and have kids. And there are a lot of women that think that way, Abby, a lot. And Becca says also, because Western society tells women they are incomplete without them.
I'd like to just stand on my soapbox for just a moment, please. There are multiple ways that you can experience success and happiness that do not require you to put your body through laborious childbearing, which is the closest that you're going to get to death voluntarily and then hopefully survive. I would love for people to just pull back a little bit. If you have this intense urge to have children, pull back just a little bit and ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Do I truly want to experience being a parent? Do I truly want to be unable to sleep through the night? Do I want to be peed on? Do I want to have puke on me? Do I really want to go through having a child diagnosed with some kind of illness that I now have to take them through for the rest of their life, or spend an exorbitant amount of money on, or find out that my child is unable to read or process words in a certain way? Is this, or do you only want it if it's perfect? Do you only want it if it's a child that you can put on social media and make money off of and everybody says goo goo gaga, they're so cute? Why exactly do you need parenthood to be successful? And if you can't rationally answer that question, then don't do it, because I'm so sick of seeing parents who shouldn't be parents. I am so sick of seeing parents who disown their gay and trans children. I am so sick of seeing parents who just did it for the gram or for the Western society. Please stop becoming parents if you have not really evaluated what does that mean, and try to see, can you find success for yourself in other ways and happiness in other ways where a little person is not dependent on you. There's a lady on TikTok who is arguing with her teacher, with her child's teacher, because her daughter can't read. She insists, like, I want to be a mother. Being a mother is so important to me. But you don't even spend time reading with your child. You don't even have time to get them evaluated to see why they're in second grade and they can't read. So I'm just tired of seeing bad parents everywhere. I used to be a foster parent. I don't know if I talked about that here. I'm just so tired of bad parents who literally, like, you can tell, like, as soon as the pandemic hit, the way that people started talking about their children because they were at home all day long, they never wanted kids. They never wanted kids. Okay, I'm done for real. Sorry.
And thank you for coming to her TED Talk. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But again, I do see where she's coming from, and you know, it takes a lot of work, you guys. It takes a lot of work, and like Abby said, is it something that you actually really want? And in the midst of all of it, is it something that you are going to be able to sustain? Because children are forever, right? And they didn't ask to be brought into the world, but you brought them in, so now it's your responsibility. And do you really want that responsibility? Only you know the answers to that. So EJ and Sarah are on this date, and they are gonna go catch prawns, and then they're gonna barbecue them, which I thought was, and he said it's a Singaporean thing. Sign me up. I want to try that.
That's
so
a cool date.
Right? They go and they have their fishing poles and they're like reeling in their prawns. EJ catches his easily and tells us that he really likes the fact that Sarah can be chill, right? Because not every date is going to be like a highfalutin date. So he likes that she can be chill sometimes, but she can be fancy sometimes, and that he really likes her and feels a connection and wants to make this relationship work. And I just thought that that was so interesting because we saw how, you know, you could have a misconnect, and we've talked about it, on how people perceive you, what they think, what you think. And what was great about Sarah and EJ is that they were able to have that date where they were vulnerable with each other and really were starting to get to know each other. Yeah, Abby, yeah, thoughts?
No, I'm into this. I'm into this pairing. I'm into the dates that she described that they've gone on so far, the way that they're progressively getting to know each other. I told you, I love EJ's dating style. If you're still here, EJ, points on your dating style. You can teach classes.
So Sarah is enjoying herself as well. She wants to find true love. She wants to start a family, and she's hoping that that is going to be with EJ. And she says this to him, which I thought, okay, I keep preaching about being open and vulnerable and expressing your needs. That's a lot, though. Like I sat back and thought, if someone said to me on the fifth date, "Hey, you know what? I really like you, and I want to start a family, and I hope it can be with you." What, like, how would I respond? Look at me. I already, you know what, you guys, my body language, I just can't even hide it. You all already know I'm already like this.
Yeah, that would be a lot.
It's a lot on the fifth date, but then I get that you guys have a time crunch because, you know, you only have a certain amount of time because it's long distance and all of that. But here's the thing, you guys. I do think that you can meet someone abroad but you have to also be committed to traveling a lot and spending time not only in their environment but in your environment, because what do I always say to you guys? Vacay bay.
It's
Vacay
not.
bay is just
Yep.
vacay bay. You need to see your bay in your environment and in their true environment, because you're on vacation, you're on holiday, your holiday at the hotel and all these fancy restaurants is not going to be real life. That's not going to be every single day. What does
Right.
every day look like? Where does he live? What does he do? Show me where you work. Show me your family. Spend time with his friends. Oh, now come over to where I live in Texas and see how I live. See what I do. Spend time with my friends and family, the day-to-day stuff, because all the fancy shenanigans, that's great, but that's called date night when you've been in a relationship for like 5, 10, 15 years. That's not every single day. So if you haven't seen how they live every single day, then I just don't understand, and I'll never believe it, that you're truly getting to know who that person is. And
Right.
so if you're going to meet someone abroad, you have to be committed to traveling a lot,
Mm-hmm.
back and forth. And then finally, because that's not sustainable, someone has to move.
Mm-hmm.
So are you committed to that? Someone's moving. Either you're moving to X or they're moving to Y to be with you.
Right. And there's so many questions that she could ask or things she could bring up before the child issue. Yeah, I doubt it. I doubt it as well. So, I mean, like she's talking about having a child, but you guys, when you're having a child with someone who is a citizen of another country, there's a whole other bag of things you need to be investigating instead of rushing to have a child. Like, what are the laws with regards to child custody and child support in that area? Because you always have to plan for the possibility that you might end up not being together, but that child is still going to be there. So what does that look like if you're trying to live in the United States and your partner wants to live in Singapore, but you have a child? And do you have any laws that would protect you against parent alienation? Like, that's a whole other category of things to consider. You're not going to rush into having a child in those kind of circumstances.
That's right. That's right. Jocelyn says, I doubt Sarah has asked EJ the Linda list of 5 things they need to talk about. Facts, Jocelyn. She's just jumping into, she wants a baby in a year and a
Mm-hmm.
family. So Sarah asked EJ, what's your timing on kids? He's like, maybe within the next 2 years, because he's really focused on his business and that's his first priority. And, that open honesty and directness, I don't feel like Sarah absorbed it, right? She's worried about the 2-year plan, because her plan is 1 year to date and then boom, she wants to have a kid because she's 36 years old. Listen, I read a study this year recently, probably in the last 2 months. I think it was last month or the month before, where it's the first time in the last 15 years that women over 40 are having more children than like young teenage girls.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the fastest growing age bracket of women having children. So Sarah, I think you're gonna be fine. I would rather you take the 2 years than, hey, I have to stick to my 1-year plan. I get pregnant, and guess what? I don't know EJ well enough and it doesn't work out. So now you not only don't have your fairy tale relationship, now you're a single parent, and you're a single
Mm-hmm.
parent with someone who lives abroad. So you're now going to have to try to figure out what that looks like. And like Abby said, what does custody look like? What does parenthood look like? What are the rules and regulations of the country? Do you know? Or are you so focused on your 1-year plan that you haven't put any thought and effort into that? Because let's also look at the statistics of marriage and how many marriages actually survive the long term. Because right now, you guys, first of all, marriage rates are down. Second of all, out of 10 marriages in 5 years, do you know, Abby, what the statistic is? You have 10 marriages in 5 years. They've been get married for 5 years. How many actually last going into the 6th and 7th year?
1.
It's 40%. So
that's higher than I thought.
4 out of 10, which is not great.
It's not great, but it is higher than what I thought.
So all of those things are things that you have to think about. And bringing a baby into the world, it's not like, hey, I just need to be like, hey, I need a baby.
Right. And this would be for Sarah a multicultural child.
Right.
Girl, you're just like you're asking for too much too fast. In my humble opinion, you're asking for way too much too fast.
I just think that she needs to, I mean, again, I get she's on a time frame. But I do think that you need to step back and take more time and get to know the person. You know, you're warp speed ahead because you have a limited amount of time, but that also makes things not as realistic as they should be. Right?
Right.
So Sarah catches her prawn mid this serious conversation, and she says that she's not sure that she's willing to compromise her 2-year versus his 2-year versus her 1-year plan, which again, it was reminding me of old Sarah, who's like, oh, I'm not going to compromise on how I look. I'm not going to compromise on how I dress. I'm not going to compromise blah. And then she ended up compromising in meeting EJ. So I don't know where in a world you're in a relationship and you don't compromise. I just don't know where that exists.
I don't know. This whole like 2-year baby thing is just like driving me insane. It's just ridiculous, Sarah. Either you want to have a good relationship and you're going to take time to get to know somebody, or just go to a sperm bank and leave these people alone, harassing them over 1 year versus 2 year.
Despite all of this, despite like the serious talk, they had a really nice date. Actually, I didn't see them barbecue, which I was a little disappointed. I was like, you guys started with showing us the prawns and like fishing them out, and then you're going to barbecue them, but we didn't get to see that.
Yeah, I wanted to see that too.
Right. To show me the culture. You mentioned it. You brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
So despite all that, they still had a really lovely date. EJ walks Sarah to her driver. They have a small kiss goodnight. Sarah's really happy about that because, you know, she was talking about how they haven't kissed yet. And she just really thinks that EJ's amazing and basically wants EJ to be her baby daddy.
Yeah, basically.
Becca says, I think people who think they want kids should borrow someone's 4-year-old for a week and then decide if you actually want kids.
Let me tell you something. Sure, it sounds like a great idea, but my best friend in the whole wide world, we were in a van together. She has a baby. She had a baby over 40, Sarah. And she said to somebody else in the van, I didn't know how hard it was going to be having a newborn. I whipped my head around so fast and said, I told you. Well, you can't really know until it happens to you. I said, well, either one of these two things happened. Either you didn't believe me or you thought you could do better than me. That's it. One of those two things happened. So you'll think like, let somebody borrow your 4-year-old and they'll get a taste. But in their mind, they're going to think, well, my 4-year-old simply would have a sleep schedule. They wouldn't be like this wild child that I'm babysitting. They don't believe it. They don't believe it. Okay, I'm done.
Are you? I don't believe you. Moving on to Monica. You guys, Monica, I was screaming. I was screaming at my TV throughout Monica's whole... Monica, you came in as my favorite, and I just don't know. Like, I just don't know what happened. I don't understand what's going on right now. Monica, we already told you, go and get your jiggy elsewhere so you can come back clear-minded, because even Louisa, your matchmaker, is like, you are delusional. You are not thinking clearly at all. I was screaming because all the things that happened, I was like, this is the drama I'm here for.
This was a telenovela.
Yes, it was. And I was here for it, Louisa. Louisa shook it up. Yes. So, as we know, Monica is dilly-dallying between Bruno and Bernardo. Bruno, Bernardo, no Bruno, no Bernardo, no
This is
Bruno.
the most ridiculous dilly-dally that's ever happened in the world.
Monica needs to make a decision. She tells...
do you want mediocre or mediocre-er?
Oh. I thought Bruno stepped it up, though. I got to tell you, I was impressed with his words in this little situation that unravels. So Monica tells Louisa about Bruno in their second date. Remember, he made her dinner and she was like super impressed by that. You guys already know how I feel about that. That takes 0.0 effort. It's like Amber going to that wood cabin with the guy that has the poop tea. Like, that is 0.0 effort. He made her some tea at his house doing his regular stuff, and he even put her to work. So, I mean, stop it. It wasn't that whole big romantic gesture that y'all are making it out to be. That being said, she also talks about Bernardo and the great dates that they've had, but he also stood her up and literally says his actions don't match his words, but then says that he apologized and she accepted it.
She said that he didn't feel that he agreed to a certain time for the date that she thought he stood her up for, right? But did she not also tell us that he was saying, sorry, I can't make it. I'll come see you later tonight, or can I call you later tonight? So he did know that there was an event that they had planned together. And instead of adhering to whatever they had planned to do together, he was like, but can I roll you up into a booty call later on?
Yep.
So she got, on the one hand, she has Bernardo booty call, and then Bruno, bad date. You went skating one time, and then you had dinner at his house. Like, neither one of these people has put in enough effort to justify her weeping and crying.
Well, okay, so that's okay. So I think Bruno is probably a good guy, and again, I'm Team Bruno after the things that he said in this little segment. However, Monica, like, every 5 seconds you're crying. I'm not. What are you crying about? What are you crying about? I don't understand it, and I'm sick of it. Why are you crying? And why can't you make a decision? And like Louisa said, you're a grown up. Grown ups make decisions. That being said, okay, Monica feels confused and conflicted because she likes them both. And I was like, she is giving, you know what she's giving, Abby? She's giving 13-year-old first time crush on a boy vibes. You know, that like high school vibe where all of a sudden your tatas grow in and you're getting a little bit of attention. And so now the boys like you, and now you're like, oh, what do I do with all this attention? That's the vibe she's giving me. Like, she doesn't know what the hell what she's doing, what she's talking about. And she's like, oh, and she doesn't want to make a decision because it's not about the men. It's about the attention she's getting, and she's loving the attention. That's what it's about.
Do we know how old she was when she got pregnant with her daughter?
I would have to look back on my notes, but she's 41, and I think her daughter is 21. I think 19 or 20.
Oh, okay. Not as young as I thought. Okay. But yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, Monica says she's confused and conflicted. She likes them both. Louisa's like, well, grown-ups make decisions. And then Monica says, quote, she feels like she doesn't want to make a decision, which goes to what I just finished telling you guys. She doesn't want to make a decision because she likes the attention that both men are giving her. And Monica goes on, Bruno makes no mistakes, but she likes Bernardo and she likes the energy and the vibe that she's getting for Bernardo. And Louisa's like, well, you know what? You can't build a relationship on chemistry alone. No truer words, you guys. No truer words. You cannot build a relationship on chemistry alone, because guess what? That chemistry, it could just be that first time attention. Someone hasn't had a little jiggy a little in a while. So you're like, you think you're vibing.
It's that NRE, that new
That
relationship energy.
That's it. What happens when that dies down?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot build a relationship on chemistry alone. Then
And then it's not even really chemistry. She's saying it's chemistry, but it's not even really chemistry. Like, he's not drawn to her. He's not making extra effort to come and see you.
listen, he stood you up. You guys went on
He
what?
stood you up.
2 days?
How do
And
you, if I got stood up out of the country, if I got stood up out of the country with somebody that my matchmaker matched me with, I would scream. I would never see that person again. You're gonna. I'm out of the country. I'm in your country, and you're gonna stand me up in your country. I would go full on American.
Listen, first of all, if you're standing me up, I don't care where I am, out of the country, in the country, don't ever reach out to me ever again. There is no excuse unless you are in hospital. There's no excuse. Unless you are 6 feet under, there's no excuse. I don't want to hear it. I just don't. I know myself, and I would just not. I just would not. I would lose interest immediately, because what are you so busy doing? You could call, you could reschedule, all that, but just standing the person up just because you have better things to do. You're playing football with your friends. No, thank you. Anyways, she doesn't want to make a decision. And then she says she feels, quote, smothered by Bruno. Girl, what? Girl, what? What is he doing to smother you? Because so far I'm seeing the bare minimum across the board. So what exactly is he doing to smother you?
I wanted to ask her to define smothered. Maybe we think it's two different things.
Which is what I was about to say. What's your definition of smothered? Give me an example. Give me a few examples, because to be smothered, that person has to be doing multiple things to be smothering you, that you feel like you can't breathe. So I need to know what the multiple things are. Considering you guys have only gone on a couple of dates, and one of them was at his house. So like, what is he doing?
I guarantee you it's nothing.
Is he texting you too much? Because, you cannot respond to text. Is he calling you too much? Because, you could turn your phone off. So what is he doing to smother you? I'm genuinely curious. That being said, I laughed out loud. And Louisa's like, Monica's not thinking logical. It's vital that Monica makes a decision before she leaves Brazil. So Louisa sits there, you guys, and she looked gorgeous. She sat very prim and proper, straight up, and looks Monica dead in her face, with Monica being all, I can't decide. I don't know what to do. Looked her dead in the face and said, I've invited Bruno and Bernardo here so that Monica can make a decision. I died. My note literally says LOL, because she was so calm about it, you guys. So matter of fact. And Monica was like, they're both here together? Are they both going to come in? And Louisa's like, yes. I'm going to go and get them and bring them in. And I'm going to help Monica decide who is her best match. Died. Abby died of laughter. I screamed. I was like, Louisa, bravo.
I loved every single moment of this. The only thing that would have made it better is if they did a few telenovela like dramatics, like oh, sorpresa.
They did throw a little, because they threw a little Portuguese in there, which I was like, yes, because we're getting what they really want to say, right, in their native tongue. Mm-hmm. So Monica's in the center seat, okay? Love Louisa for this. She put Bernardo on one side of her, Bruno on the other side of her. She didn't do any like intro. She just got right into it. Bruno took a moment to be like, "Oh, so you're Bernardo. Nice to meet you." Like very like, we're not here for the pleasantries. We're here for someone to make a decision. And Louisa jumps into it and says, basically, what are you looking for? What are you looking for in a partner? What are you looking for in your life? What are you looking for right now in this whole situation? And Bruno says he's looking for a partner to share his life with. He sees that with Monica, and in Monica, he wants to plan a life for two where he'll fit Monica in. Those are all the right answers, you guys. That's what Monica is looking for. She wants someone to share her life with. And guess what? Bruno wants someone to share his life with. And the whole kid factor and all of that is not a factor for him. Same question, Bernardo. You know it's wrong. You know it's bad when someone asks you a question and answers with a question. What am I looking for?
Like you didn't just hear the question.
Right. You not only heard the question, you heard a great answer. So ask the same question, what are you looking for? And he's like, what am I looking for? Well, I prefer to look in the present day. So he's not looking for any future. He is looking for a booty call. He has shown up who he wants to win, but he wants to win with his vacay bae. He wants to have a great time with her and be like, whatever. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, I liked you in the moment. So Louisa didn't like that and pressed him some more in Portuguese. What exactly is it that you're looking for? And again, he doubles down and says he's not really looking for the future. He stays in the present. That told me everything I needed to know. Abby?
Yeah. I mean, we already knew. I'm just, surprised that he was like not even going to try to lie about it.
No, not at all. Not at all. So Louisa says that Bernardo is doing just the bare minimum. And he's doing the bare minimum because he's not that into you, friend. He's into having a good time with you, but he's not thinking about long-term with you. And Monica, what does Monica do in this moment? Anyone? Abby, what does Monica do in this moment?
She acts like it's such a hard choice.
No, she starts crying again. You guys, you guys have to understand how much this woman cries over nothing. Why are you crying again? Why are you crying? She starts crying because she is now forced to make a choice. And when I say Louisa's face was my face, Louisa, and literally my note says Louisa's face, same girl, same. I don't know what to do. And Louisa's face is like this. Like, are you crazy? Like, are you crying again? Same girl, same. Yes. What is she crying about? You're 41 years old and you're crying because you have to make a decision. How are you a strong single mom for 20 plus years? I don't understand. And like an executive, homeowner, all the things. So you're smart in all aspects except for when it comes to relationships, because that's the vibe you're giving off. So Monica starts crying, and I didn't know who she was going to choose, you guys. But then I also saw the preview for next week, and so I already know it's going to be a mess. But she chooses Bruno, and then Bruno says he is everything that she needs, you guys. He grabs her hand, he kisses her. Are you okay? I'll be your best friend. He's assuring her, he's nurturing her, all the things that Monica needs. She's definitely high maintenance and high like emotionality. And Louisa and Linda, me, say he's who she needs for sure. Because he's putting up with all, like, I just know. And Bernardo, there's no way. But she wants to walk Bernardo out. And Bernardo has the cockiness that he's like, yeah, it's over, but I don't think it's actually truly over. And you know what? He's not wrong. If I'm looking at what the previews were showing for next week, that I am just not impressed about. Monica, Becca says, I haven't watched the episode yet, and I knew she must have been. Becca, she was crying her whole segment, just crying, tears for no reason. And when you watch it, let me know in the comments when you come back why you think she was crying, because I don't understand. What are we crying about? What are you crying about?
I think I know what she's crying about, but I hope I'm wrong because it's so stupid if it's what I think it is.
What do you think it is? That jiggy jiggy? She's losing that jiggy jiggy?
I think that she is going to go off and do something with Bernardo.
Oh, she's going to.
After choosing Bruno.
Oh, she's gonna unchoose Bruno, and she's gonna go and run after Bernardo, and then come back to Bruno and be like, "Oh, I messed up," and Bruno's gonna be like, "Too bad, so sad." Yeah. We already see where this train wreck is going. We already see it. We already see it. So last and certainly not least is Harold and Dolly. They're at Haw Villa, which I love learning about this. It's the villa that's was owned by the founder of Tiger Bomb. And he was an eccentric individual, and all over the place you see creatures and tongues, and it's all about the culture, and it's something that you should definitely see and check out when you're in Singapore. And we find out that Harold's leaving in a couple of days, and so they walk up to the Buddha, and Dolly suggests that he does a prayer and blessing. So he lights an incense, he rings the bell, and he prays for blessings for him and Amber, that they have the best relationship, that they're happy, that it works out. And when Dolly's like, "What did you pray for?" He said he prayed for love. And I thought about you, Abby, and I thought about some of y'all and your beliefs and all of that. And so my question, why does your face look like that? You already know what I'm going to ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
My question, because Harold literally said that he doesn't pray usually, like that's not something that he does. Would you have felt pressured to do a prayer, or would you have politely declined for those of you that are not believers?
I would not have been felt pressure to do a prayer, but I probably would have said something like, I actually enjoy going into any kind of religious building or setting. They usually feel really calm, and I don't mind speaking to the universe in these places. I really loved when I went to Uzbekistan. Almost every single place that we went to had a mosque, and a lot of them were not in use anymore because I don't know if this is an Islamic principle or if it's an Uzbek principle, but if somebody passes away in the mosque, then it can't be used as a mosque anymore. It just becomes a pretty piece of architecture at that point. So a lot of them are not really in use. So you could go in and just they're always built in a way that you get shade and you get a breeze, and you can just feel calm and peaceful inside. So I don't mind being in a religious place. I'll be cynical about it sometimes, and look at all the money that was spent on this. Yeah, you know. But no, it's not. I still have respect for people who have a belief system, especially if people are actually kind in their belief system. I just don't want them to lord that over me.
That was my question. So thank you for sharing. You guys let me know what you think in the repeat. If you're watching the repeat or the live chat, let me know your thoughts on it. I don't need to tell you guys where I stand. You guys, we all know. You guys come for me all the time, but I stand firm in my faith. Dolly feels like Harold has evolved a lot during his trip. Even Jocelyn said that, Harold is getting all the experiences. One thing I do think that is so great about Harold is he is adaptable. He learns and he's teachable. And you're seeing this as, like Dolly said, as he's evolving in his dating and what he's trying to accomplish. So shout out to Harold for that. Dolly reminds Harold, though, that Amber wants to take things slow and he needs to be patient. If not, he's going to lose her. And he is considering extending his stay. And Dolly's like, that's great. But tell her, because this is the important part, tell her, I'm staying because I want to explore this place on my own. And if there is room for us to spend time together while I'm exploring on my own, I would love that. And it would show Amber that he's serious, but he also is not leeching onto her.
Mm-hmm.
But from the preview I saw, that is not how Harold handles it. Harold.
Which is a significant difference. It's a significant difference. It's a different kind of pressure to say I'm extending my stay for you versus there were things that I wanted to do while I was here that I didn't have a chance to do. So I'm going to extend my stay so I can do some more of those things. If you have time in your schedule over the next week that I'm staying, I'd love to see you as well, but there are some other things that I want to see. And that's the main reason why I'm staying.
100%.
It's very different.
Very, very different. Very different, Harold. So the preview for next week looks like a train wreck all across the board. It looks like implosion after implosion after implosion, which is why it's like you guys just need to listen to your matchmakers, because y'all are not making the right decisions over and over and over again. But we'll see what happens. Looks like things are imploding with Victoria, who got that big ass tattoo of the ghosts. Amber gets physical, calls someone a liar.
Mm-hmm.
Harold doesn't say I'm staying because I want to explore. I'm staying for you. It's just it looks like a mess, you guys, and I cannot wait for it. So
yes.
We will be back. You guys don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you so much for being here. And EJ, our offer still stands to come on our show. Thank you for being here as well. And Abby, any last words over on that end?
No. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us.
Bye, guys.
Bye.